everybody. Jimmy with the Triple C Collective here, and
Collin, how you doing?
and we are ready to bring you Visions, Volume 2, Episode 7, The Bandits of Golak, by 88 Pictures.
Yeah.
And this was awesome.
Yeah, this was like another 3D episode. We went back to that style. It was a little like Rebels and like that kind of style, but not so cut forming and a little more realistic.
Yeah.
Right.
It was so good. The studio, I mean, we went to India. It's from Mumbai.
Yeah.
Mumbai, India, and
Yeah.
like 88 Pictures, and like it was great. So like,
Yeah, you could see that even if you didn't know that it was by an Indian studio, you would have known it was by an Indian studio after watching the episode.
Absolutely.
The music, the theme, just everything about it just was very much told from that perspective, and it was very cool.
All the garb and the dress,
Yeah.
like it looked beautiful. Like all the color, like it had spectacular colors throughout
amazing.
it. Like the color palette on it was like amazing.
Yeah.
So like let's just dive in.
Yep.
We open on a train, and you know, like at first I was like, oh man, are we gonna get a train heist here? And like we sort of do, we sort of don't.
Yeah, I was like, we try. They try.
Right. We meet a brother and a sister, Charuk and Rani, respectively.
Yeah, Ronnie's the girl, Charuk's the boy.
And they're on their way. They're on their way to a sanctuary, basically.
Yeah, they're running away from an event that happened to their family. I don't know if they died or whatever, but they were clearly separated.
Yeah,
you know? They definitely talk about a trauma that happened to them.
Yeah, their home was attacked and burned. Yeah. Everything around it was burned, like their fields were burned and stuff. But
so
Ronnie,
I'm assuming their parents looked like Luke's parent, uncle and
Aunt Beru and Uncle Owen in New Hope, you know, in Star Wars.
Yeah. So anyway, so they're on the train. They're getting away from that mess. They're going to the stop. But before then, they start talking, and they're kind of playing a game. But she's like, "I see the flute that Pa gave me," which I don't know. Is it her dad or her grandpa?
Pa, I think, is their father.
Okay.
I think it's meaning their dad.
Yeah. So, but he's like, "No, we're trying to like stay low key, basically."
Yeah, and like, cause playing a flute on the train will cause attention. Their village and stuff was just attacked. And so, like, what we're getting is that, like, there's this, like, unsettling time here. So, like, what I'm getting is that this is probably post-prequel, you know, like, where we've got, like, the Empire here before we really get, like, a rebellion and things like that. Like, that's what I'm kind of getting. Because, because it's, like, there's this, like, high anxiety and stuff here. So, like I don't know. I just really liked it. But, like, that's what I'm getting in, like, the feeling here. It definitely seemed like
the Empire had a foothold a bit. But yeah, they were definitely a presence because they came. Even the stormtroopers coming on the train. Well, anyway, we'll get to that. But yeah, the passengers are kind of like. So anyway, he walks away. Charuk walks away, and
to get a sweet treat.
Yeah. And Ronnie uses her force powers, and we see her using her force powers to grab the flute. And then, but we're not the only one seeing it. Some people on the train are also seeing it.
Some scavengers,
Yeah. It quickly turns into this this mess.
It really does. It turns into a mess because then these scavengers alert the troopers that are on there. Charuk kind of starts seeing like all the commotions and stuff, and like Ronnie is just like sitting there playing the flute and just going doo 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 doo, and it's like really nice and like beautiful, but like she is unaware of like all of the events that are slowly starting to unravel around her.
She's young and has no training and no understanding of her powers and why she needs to stay so hidden.
And like now it's
like, were you the reason they were coming? Yeah,
exactly. Were you now the reason that like your village was attacked? That you're being sent off to this place, and why Charuk, your brother, is a little bit more wound up, a little bit more tightly than you are, because he is older. It's not like they're the same age here. It's very clear that her brother Charuk is older.
He's an older too.
Is the older of the two of them. So he has like whatever, you know, life knowledge, or like maybe even his parents like gave them a little bit like more information about it. But he steals the sweet treats.
Yeah, it was nice. He used this opportunity of chaos to just get them their treats, and then the stormtroopers kind of actually get called off here because there's some Jangoris we hear, who are just like some bandit rebels. Like they're definitely, because they call them rebels at a certain point, but they're definitely just, it seems, bandits.
Yeah.
And they're trying to get on the train, and they take out a few of the stormtroopers before the train gets away.
Yeah.
And then the rebellion's quelled pretty quick.
Yeah, because they don't stop the train. They keep going. But Charuk is, he is up on the hood, or on the roof of the train. Ronnie is then, like, kind of running away because everybody started going towards, like, where the Jungari were and where the stormtroopers were to try and, like, see what was going on. So that gave them all the chance to, like, back away. They're about to enter a tunnel,
right?
And Charuk can't get the screw open or, like, the little, like, latch pin or whatever open. And we see Ronnie, just use her force powers and go whoop, twisted, and he's able to, like, slip right in there. Yeah, and that's great.
Cool. Like, that's how they get away from not only the Jangori but the stormtroopers. They went to their stop right after this point.
Yeah. Basically, the next thing we see is, like, they hug and they're like, okay, our stop is, like, relatively soon, and that's what we see them in their new city. And we don't get, like, a real name of this city.
Yeah, they just point to the place and call it Labi.
Yeah.
And but yeah, we don't really know where their stop was, but they're going to this place called Labi.
Well, no. The Labi's the sweet treats. And she's screaming at the Labi because he's like, "Oh, sweet treats," and that's why she goes. Okay. And that's why she goes running even into there because Charuk's like, "See, this is the destination. This is like he's got a."
There's Labi there. Yeah. And so there's food.
Yeah.
But yeah, so they don't ever go to this town, but right away they run into, like, a commotion. It's this cool little town, but it's, like, kind of it's a low key town. It's for sure like a
well, there's gates and everything and everything, so it's like.
But it's a very, like, not built up city. It's not some beautiful cityscape. Anyway, we quickly run into some guys messing around with each other and
some locals fighting.
Yes,
if you will.
exactly. And Rugal, this older, like, lady comes out and kind of just reins him in, and like is basically the one in charge. You could tell right away.
Because like these two are, like, going at it and whatnot, and then, like, as soon as Rugal's, like, voice is heard, the one dude who's, let's call him the stronger of the two, because he's definitely on top, is like, "Whoa, Rugal, we were, hey," like, totally changes his tone, because he knows he's gonna be, like, kicked out and no longer welcome if he, like, stays here. And that's basically what she says. Final warning, stop it. She sees Charuk and Ronnie, and it's like,
this is where they meet them.
And it's like, you two, you're new, you shouldn't be out after dark. Hurry up, eat, and, like, there's a storm coming.
Yeah, there's a storm. There's an approaching storm, so you better.
There's a storm coming, Annie, from the prequel trilogy.
Yeah.
That, that's a beautiful little callback.
It's very much like, you can stay here tonight, but you got to get the hell out of here when. This is over.
Like, you got to get to safety. You got to get in there. Yeah. So they're sitting down, they're eating, and Ronnie is, like, kind of messing with her brother, like, being like, "I command you to eat," and then she starts kind of, like, moving food around, and, like, Charuk's like, "Hey, stop it. She loses the food on one of the two guys that were just fighting, so those two start going back at it, and
this is when another group of people who were watching off in the distance come up to Charuk and Ronnie and say that they saw her using her powers, and this causes another commotion that basically leads into this moment where we see an Inquisitor and two, like, dark stormtroopers walking up behind him, and this was a cool moment seeing this guy. His garb was really cool.
The green alien skin, awesome.
Yeah, he was dope.
He was so great, and
so he pretty much beelines it right to them.
Yeah.
Right to Charuk and Ronnie, and that's interesting, right? Like, so why is this Inquisitor going up to them right away? But it's basically, why. Yeah.
Well, I mean,
and he starts asking those questions pretty quick.
Right. And like, one of the things he's saying, he's like, we know there's a storm coming along, but so we heard about something, and then we find out that he finds out that he was talking to the scavengers. And the scavengers told him about a girl who used some power
on the train.
And he also lets them know that there were some farm villages just beyond some tracks that he happened to burn down and stuff. And so then it comes dawning on us, and the same as Charuk and Ronnie, that this Inquisitor has been like chasing them and has been following them and has been looking for them. And he lets them know that there was for sure no survivors at their village, back at their village. And
evil as it gets.
Yeah, it is so bad. And Charuk then sees the tray of Levy, the sweet treats floating, and he's like, "No, it's not the time for this, Ronnie. Stop it, stop it."
Yeah.
And Ronnie's like, "I'm not doing it. It's not me." And the tray like just drops and like gets thrown, and the Inquisitor throws Charuk and goes right after Ronnie.
Yeah, so like he grabs Charuk and like force chokes him, and then like all of a sudden though at this point like a storm kind of comes in, and there's this sick scene. Like this is the sickest scene in the episode, I think. But this is the storm kind of comes in, and you're like, wait, I didn't think that was coming yet, but that'll come back. But she starts running around in this chaos, and kind of there's like a brawl going on, an all-out brawl happening now at this point, and the camera's following her in a circle, like basically, and she's trying to get to her brother, and the Inquisitor's trying to get to her, you know, and it's just a really cool scene, and they have these slow motion like action shots where they're showing like people fighting and stuff, and it was really cool to see.
Yeah, the slow-mo was wild. Yeah, because there were
they used it to see different aspects around, different perspectives,
and so like that was so great. And then we get Rugal showing up, and then she's like, "Leave him alone," and the the Inquisitor's like, "What old lady? What are you gonna do? What do you think?"
Yeah, it
you're
seemed like he knew her. It seemed like he knew her. I think he said like, I think he even called her by name, but like he didn't expect her to be a Jedi.
And the dual lightsaber wielding Jedi. And dude, how about it? How about both pieces of her lightsaber being her cane together, and then she's just like breaks it off and like bam bam. Dude, like that is what I imagine old lady Ahsoka being.
Yeah, right.
Like,
and if she makes it to old.
Right? Yeah. And like so then we get the new version or the new sequence of this battle, because the first part was like the Inquisitor chasing after like Ronnie and like trying to get after that. Then Rugal stops it. Then we get the Rugal v Inquisitor.
Yeah.
And like this portion of it is just so great. It's so great.
Yeah, when this battle begins, it's like, oh, it's on, and they start fighting, and they're using, he's using his hilt,
his spinning
lightsaber to fly and stuff, and get away, and it's a lot of different powers that they use in this that we get to see, and off in the distance, the Charuk and Ronnie are watching, and that this is when though Rugal just slices him. And gets a good clean hit on him.
Gets a good clean hit on his throat there, and like.
And it's like he's dead before he even knows it.
Yeah, because he's still talking. He's still talking. He's still talking his crap, trying to be like, "You ain't got this" or whatever. And then we just see his eyes kind of roll back to his head, and then he just falls forward. And oh man, it is wild.
So after finding out Rugal is a Jedi, you also, at this point, when she wins, she takes Ronnie aside and basically...
it's like, you gotta come with me now.
You gotta come with me, yeah. So she opens this, like, she's like Moses's some water apart in this, like, pond, and it's cool. It's like the secret entrance to wherever they're going.
To a tunnel.
Some Jedi, I'm assuming some Jedi type of academy that's underground, literally, and figuratively.
Right.
So... she's basically like, at this point, like, Ronnie, you have to make a choice. Like, you have to leave your brother. I'm sorry, but the only way to keep you safe is to keep you guys separated. Yeah. He has to live his own thing. He has to do his own thing, and you have to learn from, like... you have to learn
to do what I just was able to do, basically, because you have this power. Your brother does not. So this is where, this is where your brother ends, right here. Like, he can't come with us. And as they're leaving, their goodbye is really sweet. Ronnie and Charuk's goodbye here is like really great. They're saying they're the bandits of Golak. They ride for feast and wonder, and they will plunder all the sweets by one day. You know, it's like the last thing that Ronnie says to Charuk. She's like, "We will plunder all the sweets one day, right, Charuk?" And he's like, "Yes, we will." Her hands are folded up, and the last thing she does is when she opens it is that there's the Lebby in there, the Lebby on the stick, like her favorite sweet treat that we've just seen constantly throughout this episode. And, you know, like, she's crying, and she starts walking down. She follows Rugal down there, and, you know, the stone closes on it, the water closes in, and, you know, we see just Charuk looking at the water. Then we get the bubbles happen.
Yeah.
And we're like, ooh, bubbles, what's this? And then we see Paz flute pop up.
Yep.
And, you know, and just as much as, like, Charuk gave the sweet treat back to, you know, the remembrance of, like, what her and her brother, the feast and wonder, the plunder, all the sweets and stuff. He gives her the Lebby, you know, his last Lebby or whatever. And then she gives him back the flute. The same thing. And, man, it was just so good.
That's when he ends the episode with, "May the Force be with you," he says to himself, you know.
Yeah, and he's like, you know, "May the Force be with you," and it just ends. And it's great. There's not really much that I want to touch on from, like, from outside of the filmmaker focus, because, like, we kind of talked about it, like, all of Indian culture, like the garb, the music, the colors, everything was just all there. Yeah. It was beautiful to see. I loved to be honest, like, the animals that the Jingari were riding, like, they actually also went out of their way to mix, like, a Star Wars look and Indian look of, like, different animals and stuff.
It looked really cool.
For, like, what all of they were riding and everything like that. So, like, that was also really cool. And, like, I don't know, man. Do you got any final closing words before we end this episode?
No, I think just check it out. May the Force be with you.
Yeah. So, I'm Jimmy with the Triple C Collective.
I'm Collin.
We want to thank you all for joining us. Please like and subscribe to our channel and to this video. We hope you all stay safe. And, as always, may the Force be with you.